Revenge of the Sith is coming back to theaters. Hello everyone and welcome back to TSI. With Revenge of the Sith coming back to theaters for its 20th anniversary and with Star Wars Day just around the corner, today let's recap the entire prequel trilogy from The Phantom Menace to Revenge of the Sith. In The Phantom Menace, released in 1999, the opening crawl tells us that Newt Gunray and the Trade Federation have blocked shipping on the planet of Naboo in order to resolve a trade debate around the galaxy. The Republic disagrees with this course of action, leading Chancellor Valorum to secretly send Jedi Qui-Gon Jinn and his apprentice Obi-Wan Kenobi to settle things with the Trade Federation. The movie then begins with the fact that, unknown to the Republic and the Jedi, the Trade Federation is actually working with the Sith Lord Darth Sidious and his apprentice Darth Maul. Sidious tells Gunray to begin invading Naboo with the battle droid army and to kill all the Jedi. After failing to get Gunray, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan escape from the Trade Federation ship and go to the surface of Naboo, where they encounter the infamous Gungan Jar Jar Binks. Though he has been exiled by the Gungans, he still brings the two Jedi to the Gungans' underwater city. The three meet the leader of the Gungans, Boss Nass, and after Qui-Gon uses a cool Jedi mind trick, they are able to get a Gungan submarine, which they use to get to Naboo's capital and save Queen Amidala. They do face some water monsters while they're in the submarine, but that doesn't really matter. They all try to escape with the Naboo Royal Starship, but are immediately attacked by the Trade Federation's blockade when leaving the planet. This is when R2-D2 just goes crazy and gets the ship's shields back up, but unfortunately the ship's hyperdrive is still damaged, forcing them to land on the desert planet Tatooine to repair the ship. Qui-Gon, Jar Jar, R2, and one of Queen Amidala's handmaiden, Padme, decides to go into the main city to find the parts. That's when they meet 9-year-old Anakin Skywalker and his mother Shmi, who are slaves to Watto, a junk dealer. Qui-Gon senses a very strong presence of the Force in Anakin, leading him to believe that he is the Chosen One, which is an individual destined to bring balance to the Force. Anakin also shows them a droid he's been building, which ends up being C-3PO. Watto ends up having the parts needed to repair the ship, but unfortunately Qui-Gon doesn't have anything to pay for them. So he makes a deal with Watto. If Anakin wins the Boonta Eve pod race, they get the parts and Anakin's freedom. But if they lose, then Qui-Gon has to give Watto the Naboo starship. After evading a lot of obstacles as well as cheating for one of his opponents, Sebulba, Anakin ends up winning the pod race. Anakin sadly then leaves his mom and C-3PO to go with Qui-Gon. Just as they're about to leave though, they're attacked by Darth Maul, but luckily are able to escape after Qui-Gon has a quick fight with him. When they reach Coruscant, Qui-Gon meets with the Jedi Council and tells them all that's happened. The Council gets worried about the return of the Sith, as they were thought to have vanished 1,000 years ago. They also say that they will not train Anakin because fear and anger cloud his future. Meanwhile, Senator Palpatine managed to get Queen Amidala to remove Chancellor Valorum from his position and nominate Palpatine for Chancellor. However, Queen Amidala decides to take matters into her own hands and go to Naboo with Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Anakin, Jar Jar, R2, and some of her other forces. After it's revealed that Padme is actually Queen Amidala, Padme forms an alliance with the Gungans against the Trade Federation. The Gungans with Jar Jar Binks engage in battle with the Federation's droids in order to distract them from getting to the capital. Meanwhile, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Padme, Anakin, and the others free the Naboo pilots and send them to destroy the Trade Federation's droid-controlled ship. However, they are encountered by Darth Maul, so Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan send the others on a different route so they can fight Maul. It's then revealed that Maul has a double-bladed lightsaber, which is awesome, and from there the three engage in one of the best Star Wars duels of the saga. In the fight, Obi-Wan gets a little behind, so the battle primarily focuses on Qui-Gon and Maul. Meanwhile, Padme and her forces are able to eventually capture Newt Gunray, while Anakin and R2 actually destroy the droid-controlled ship themselves after accidentally flying into battle with a Naboo starfighter. This shuts down all the droids in the battle with the Gungans. Back to the duel, and sadly, Qui-Gon is stabbed by Darth Maul right in front of Obi-Wan. Being crushed, Obi-Wan uses all his power to have an insane fight with Maul, even cutting his double-bladed lightsaber in half. But Maul ends up force-pushing him into the reactor core, throwing his lightsaber down it as well. Obi-Wan is barely able to stay up by hanging onto a small metal pipe, but eventually, using all his force power, he's able to jump back up, force grab Qui-Gon Jinn's lightsaber, and cut Darth Maul in half. And somehow, Maul survives this, but we don't see that till the Clone Wars. Qui-Gon's dying wish is that Obi-Wan will train Anakin to become a Jedi. To close out the film, it's revealed that Palpatine has officially become the Supreme Chancellor. After Qui-Gon's funeral, Master Yoda hesitantly lets Obi-Wan train Anakin, but he does warn him. And then there's just a really fun celebration on Naboo. In Attack of the Clones, released in 2002, the opening crawl tells us that the Republic is being threatened by a new separatist movement led by former Jedi Master, now Darth Sidious's new Sith apprentice, Count Dooku, and Newt Gunray with the Trade Federation. The movie then begins with Padme just barely avoiding an assassination attempt on her, with one of her handmaidens, Corday, dying to it instead because she was dressed up as Queen Amidala as Padme's decoy. Due to this, Chancellor Palpatine as Obi-Wan Kenobi, now looking like Space Jesus, and Anakin Skywalker, now a 19-year-old Jedi Padawan, protect her. But that same night, a bounty hunter that looks a lot like Boba Fett hires a different bounty hunter named Zam Wesell to kill Padme. And then Zam sends a droid to send these worm things into Padme's room to kill her. Luckily, Anakin and Obi-Wan save her just in time and go after Zam in speeders. But once they catch up to her, Zam is killed by a toxic dart by the Boba Fett lookalike, who flies away from the scene. From there, the Jedi Council tasks Anakin and R2-D2 to escort Padme back to Naboo so that she can hide out there. Obi-Wan is then tasked to investigate the second assassination attempt on Padme. Since Padme is leaving, she appoints Jar Jar Binks to represent her position in the Senate, which really isn't the smartest idea, to be honest. Obi-Wan then decides to take the dart that killed Zam to one of his old friends named Dexter, who by the way is one of the greatest characters in the Star Wars universe. Based off the dart's unique markings, Dexter is able to deduce that it's a Kaminoan dart, specifically telling him that Kamino is a planet beyond the Outer Rim, south of the Rishi Maze. However, when Obi-Wan checks for Kamino in the Jedi archives, it's nowhere to be found. But using the region Dexter gave him, Obi-Wan sees a spot that has gravity pulling down on a missing mass, hinting to him that that's Kamino. Obi-Wan then goes to the location and does in fact find the planet. The Kaminoans tell him that a secret clone army for the Republic is being created on Kamino and had started production almost 10 years ago by the order of Jedi Master Sifo Dyas, a Jedi that the Council thought had died around this time as well. Obi-Wan then meets the original template for the clones, a bounty hunter named Jango Fett. And after seeing his armor in the closet, Obi-Wan realizes this is the bounty hunter who killed Zam. They end up having a really cool fight in some pouring rain, but in the end, Jango ends up escaping along with his son Boba Fett. Luckily, Obi-Wan is able to place a tracker on his ship and secretly follows him to the desert planet of Geonosis. Going back to Anakin and Padme, and yes, Anakin is laying down his absolutely immaculate riz.
I don't like sand.
Somehow this works and they do kiss, but Padme says that they can't be together because the Jedi are forbidden from love. Anakin then starts to have nightmares about his mother, so he and Padme go to Tatooine to find her. They meet Watto again and he tells them that his mother was sold to a moisture farmer. So they go to this moisture farmer and are met by Anakin's stepfather, Clegg Lars, C-3PO, and Owen and Beru, who will end up being Luke Skywalker's uncle and aunt in A New Hope. Clegg tells Anakin that his mother was kidnapped by Tusken Raiders somewhat recently. So Anakin finds her at the Tusken camp, and while he does find her, she sadly dies in his arms. This causes him to completely lose his temper, which leads him to kill everyone at the Tusken camp, even the...
And not just the men, but the women. And the children, too.
And somehow, this stuff just makes Padme like Anakin even more. On Geonosis, Obi-Wan finds out that Count Dooku and the Trade Federation are building an even larger droid army, and were the ones who ordered the assassination on Padme. Obi-Wan sends Anakin and Padme a hologram message telling them this, but he's captured by Dooku right after. Anakin tells the Jedi Council, so they begin to form a group of Jedi in Coruscant to invade Geonosis. Jar Jar Binks also gives emergency powers to Chancellor Palpatine, which allows him to send the Kamino clone army into the invasion after the Council found out about it from Obi-Wan. Anakin and Padme decide to go to Geonosis themselves to save Obi-Wan, but they sadly end up being captured themselves by Jango Fett while they're in the droid factory. But just before all of this, while Obi-Wan is captured, he and Count Dooku talk, and Dooku outright just tells him that the Sith Lord Darth Sidious is in control of the Republic Senate. While Obi-Wan does tell the Council of this at the end of the movie, it's kinda weird because it doesn't really seem like they care too much. Under capture, Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Padme are put into a huge gladiator pit to fight these three huge monsters. Just before the fight though, Padme confesses her love to Anakin, realizing that they can't prevent the relationship from happening just because of the Jedi Code. During the fight, Mace Windu shows up with all the Jedi, and then Yoda shows up with all the clones, which marks the beginning of the Battle of Geonosis. Dooku tries to escape, but Anakin and Obi-Wan follow him, leading to a pretty cool lightsaber fight. Dooku defeats them pretty easily though, as he cuts a slit in Obi-Wan's arm and cuts off Anakin's hand. But then Yoda shows up and they have a really awesome fight where Yoda does a ton of crazy flips. Dooku realizes that he can't win, so he force pushes the pillar to fall on Anakin and Obi-Wan. Yoda stops fighting so that he could use the Force to push the pillar back up, and in this time, Dooku is able to escape. Dooku later meets with Darth Sidious where they talk about plans for the Death Star. The movie then ends with Anakin and Padme having a secret wedding that only C-3PO and R2-D2 were at and know about. In Revenge of the Sith, released in 2005, the opening crawl tells us that the Clone Wars has been going on between the Republic and the Separatists for 3 years now. By the way, if you haven't, go watch the Clone Wars TV show right now, it is amazing. Anyways, the movie starts with an awesome sequence of Anakin, now a Jedi Knight, and Obi-Wan, now a Jedi Master, flying through space to get the Grievous' command ship to save Chancellor Palpatine. Once they find Palpatine, they are met by Count Dooku and engage in a great lightsaber fight. Dooku knocks out Obi-Wan, leaving Anakin to fight Dooku. In the end, Anakin wins and cuts off Dooku's hands and then his head after Palpatine tells him to
Do it.
After this, they are then captured by General Grievous, but luckily with the help of R2-D2 are able to escape and fight the battle droids. Unfortunately though, Grievous ends up escaping and gets rid of all the escape pods during this time. The command ship begins to crash, but using his amazing piloting skills, Anakin is able to kind of land the ship and get everyone back safely to Coruscant.
Another happy landing.
Anakin then secretly meets with Padme, who tells him that she is pregnant. And while they are happy, they are also really worried about what they'll do with the Jedi Council. Plus, Anakin begins to have nightmares about Padme dying during childbirth, a big part of his sad turn to the dark side. Palpatine then meets with Anakin, asking him to be his personal representative on the Jedi Council. However, in order to do this, Anakin has to be promoted to Jedi Master, which the Council doesn't allow. However, they do make an agreement where Anakin can be a part of the Jedi Council and be Palpatine's representative, but he can't be a Master. And this still makes Anakin super mad.
This is outrageous. It's unfair.
Later on, the Council then sends Master Yoda to Kashyyyk to assist Chewbacca and the Wookiees in their fight against the Separatists. They also ask Anakin to spy on Palpatine since they are very suspicious of him being evil, which Anakin gets mad about too. Then, at a Coruscant Opera House, Palpatine tells Anakin the infamous story of Darth Plagueis the Wise. He says that Darth Plagueis, with the powers of the dark side, was able to save anyone from dying. Due to his nightmares about Padme, Anakin is intrigued, but Palpatine tells him that you cannot be a Jedi if you wish to use this power. Meanwhile, the Council finds out that General Grievous is hiding out on the planet Utapau, so they send Obi-Wan to go after him. This also makes Anakin mad since he wanted to be sent instead, so he goes back to Palpatine to talk about it. This is when Palpatine tells Anakin that he is a Sith Lord. Anakin almost kills him but decides not to because deep down he thinks that Palpatine is the only person who can help him save Padme, so instead he goes and tells Mace Windu. Mace tells Anakin to stay in the council chambers while he and 3 other Jedi Masters confront Palpatine. On Utapau, Obi-Wan is having his own side mission where he of course says the iconic line,
Hello there.
From there, he and General Grievous get into a lightsaber fight where it's shown that Grievous has 4 arms and 4 lightsabers. To be honest though, it's not much of a fight because Grievous ends up running away again like usual. This time though, Obi-Wan is able to chase after him using a Vractal named Boga, and eventually he's able to defeat Grievous with a blaster.
So uncivilized.
Going back to Coruscant, and instead of just listening to Mace Windu, Anakin decides to get in a ship and go to the Chancellor's office. Palpatine reveals himself as the Sith Lord Darth Sidious to Mace Windu and the other Jedi, and even grabs his gold-hilted red lightsaber. He easily kills the other Jedi, leaving it a battle between him and Mace. Mace is victorious, however, and Anakin runs in on Mace, pointing his lightsaber at Palpatine next to an open windowsill. Palpatine shoots Sith lightning at Mace, but he deflects it and shoots it back at Palpatine, making his face look like this. Mace then raises his lightsaber up, prepared to kill Palpatine. But Anakin says that he must stand trial, which Mace responds to saying that he's too dangerous to be kept alive. So in a huge turn of events, right as Mace swings his lightsaber down, Anakin takes his out and cuts off Mace's hand. Palpatine then shoots out his lightning, sending Mace flying out into the city of Coruscant. Palpatine then makes Anakin his new apprentice, calling him Darth Vader. Palpatine then declares to Anakin and all the other senators that the Jedi are now enemies to the Republic and must be destroyed. He also executes Order 66, causing all the clone troopers to turn on the Jedi and kill them due to a chip implanted in their heads from Kamino. Anakin is tasked with storming the Jedi Temple with an army of clones and killing all the Jedi there too. Yes, even the younglings.
Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. What are we going to do?
After his attack, Anakin goes to Padme, telling her that the Jedi are evil and how they tried to kill Palpatine. He then says that he's going to go to the planet Mustafar so he can kill the Separatist leaders and end the war, which is the second task Palpatine assigned him with. At this point, Obi-Wan and Yoda seem to be some of the last Jedi alive once they return to Coruscant and meet with Senator Bail Organa. They decide to go to the Jedi Temple and investigate the ruins where they find security footage of Anakin becoming Darth Vader and killing the Jedi. This leaves Obi-Wan in shock, but Yoda tells him that he must destroy Anakin while he goes to destroy Palpatine. Obi-Wan tells Padme, but she struggles to believe him, leading her to go to Mustafar with C-3PO. Unknown to her though, Obi-Wan sneaks onto her ship. On Mustafar, Anakin succeeds in defeating all the Separatist leaders just before he goes out and talks with Padme. He tells her that he has become so powerful that he can even overthrow Palpatine and they can rule the galaxy, which fully makes Padme realize that he has turned. Then when Anakin sees Obi-Wan standing near her ship, his anger consumes him, causing him to force choke Padme until she passes out. Anakin and Obi-Wan then engage in a lightsaber duel on Mustafar, easily the best duel in the saga. Meanwhile, on Coruscant, Yoda and Sidious get into a lightsaber battle, which later turns more into a force power battle. Eventually though, Yoda realizes Sidious is too powerful, so he escapes and has Bail Organa pick him up. Back to Mustafar, and eventually Anakin and Obi-Wan reach a river of flowing lava. Obi-Wan jumps onto a nearby mountain where he says another iconic line,
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
but Anakin jumps anyways, allowing Obi-Wan to easily cut off his limbs. Obi-Wan then watches in horror and sadness as Anakin's body catches on fire in one of the most emotional scenes of the films. Obi-Wan then takes Anakin's saber and leaves, taking Padme to a distant moon where Yoda and Bail are. Padme then gives birth, and she actually has twins who she names Luke and Leia just before she sadly dies of heartbreak. During this time, Palpatine saves Anakin from Mustafar and rebuilds his body with mechanical parts, slowly and painfully forming him into the Darth Vader we know today. The movie then ends with Padme's funeral on Naboo, and with Vader and Palpatine overseeing the building of the Death Star. Bail Organa then decides to adopt Leia as his daughter, while Obi-Wan gives Luke to Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru on Tatooine. Obi-Wan is also tasked to hide out on Tatooine to keep an eye on Luke. Well everyone, thank you so much, and I hope you all enjoyed our prequel trilogy recap. If you guys would like to see recaps for the original and sequel trilogies, or even just recaps for other Star Wars movies, let us know in the comments below. Other than that, thank you again, and we'll see you in the next one.